Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just think about my future self.
On a Thursday morning.
Okay.
So try not to
What
cite
does the future EJ want to say? Okay.
anything hyper relevant to this moment.
Got it.
Right now. I am with EJ Porth.
Yep.
EJ Porth is how we say that. She's the associate director of the Gallatin Valley Land Trust, GVLT, in Bozeman. We talked to Chet Work.
Yep.
We didn't get a full interview with him, though, so thank you for giving me a little bit more time.
Of course. Yeah. I'm glad you got to talk to the boss man first.
Chet's great.
He's awesome.
Ran into him up at Pete's Hill the other day.
That's what he said. He said he just saw you.
Sang your praises.
Yeah. That's his office. Out of the office is walking his dog on Pete's Hill.
Super appropriate.
Yeah.
You recently celebrated 10 years of working there at GVLT. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Talk about your role. What do you do?
Oh, gosh. My role is, as all nonprofit people, I wear like a million hats. When I started at GVLT, I was mainly in communications and outreach. So probably 4 or 5 years ago, moved into the associate director role, which means I just got more hats to wear. I do some fundraising, I do some HR, I do some operations, governance, things like that. But I also still have a hand in outreach and communications and just making sure the good word of GVLT is out in the community, and finding ways to make sure that GVLT is really listening to the community too. So
Okay.
one of my favorite things that I get to do is work with our Next Gen Advisory Board, which is rising leaders in the community who care about conservation and trails. And I work with them to make sure that our mission is staying relevant for the next generation.
Not necessarily GVLT people. These are just out in the community.
Totally volunteers.
Okay.
They're kind of like an advisory council, but they're all in that 21 to 45 age range. A lot of them are new to town. A lot of folks moving here are in that age range. They want to plug in. They want to help out. They're ambassadors for us, but they're really good about making sure that we're in touch with what's happening, because our job is to serve the community. And
Right.
the only way to do that is if we know them.
So you got boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
That's invaluable. All right. Obviously, that leads us into this. The Gallatin Valley is growing.
Yes.
Right? That is inarguable in terms of population and in terms of development. This presents a lot of challenges, but growing is better than the alternative.
Yes. Opportunities. I'm an
Opportunities.
optimist always. So I would say growth presents opportunities. Yes.
But it's where we want to be.
Yep.
And then the challenge for us is to grow in what you call the right way.
Yes.
Tell me what that means.
Yeah. I think everyone's going to have a different definition. I know a lot of people who would like to close the doors to growth. And while there are times, trust me, when I'm like, it'd be great if we could just put a pause on this whole thing.
Right.
It doesn't work like that, right? We live in a world where we have private property and people get to move places and they get to build homes, and we have supply and demand. And there's a demand to live in Bozeman. There's a demand to live in every Western community. Like we're not unique, although I think we are exceptional and wonderful. We are not unique. What we're going through is being faced by every community. So if you can wrap your head around the idea that you can't stop it, like I always use the freight train example, you can't stand in front of a freight train. It's left the station. How do you harness the impacts of growth, the power of growth into positive solutions? So we can put our heads in the sand, we can throw our hands up and say, it's happening, let's all just leave and move to the next small town, which also, trust me, places like Red Lodge look really appealing.
Sure.
But that's not the right way. I really truly believe that if we can rally around the organizations and the institutions that have solutions that can actually help us manage the growth in a smart way, there is a chance that we can hold on to the things that make this place great. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of folks who have invested a lot of time making this community wonderful, right? In our little neck of the woods, it's like GVLT has been building trails for a long time with a lot of partners. We have an amazing trail system. How do we make sure that as our community grows, we're continuing that good work and we're not just kind of exploiting or capitalizing on what's been done and saying, okay, this place is great. I'm gonna use it, but I'm not gonna contribute to what makes it good.
Yeah.
Open space. We have a lot of land in this valley. We can put houses in places that look a lot like sprawl, or we can think really long term and make some sacrifices around good, thoughtful development that will be sustainable. So, while having a high-rise building or a multifamily building next to you feels kind of scary, if we put more density in appropriate places where we can have public infrastructure and really great trail systems, we might be able to have public transit one day where you don't have to sit in a car and be in traffic. We can protect more open space if we develop near our city centers. And we can protect more wildlife if we think about conserving those areas that aren't appropriate for development.
Yeah.
And we can make sure that the agricultural producers can still find land to farm. Like, maybe I'm delusional, but I really do choose to believe that there's a way where we can grow and still hold on to some of what we love.
Yeah, it does seem like the mindset of some folks would need to change, right? Mm-hmm. Because you can't, not everybody can have the Dutton Ranch.
Yes.
Right?
Really?
You move to Montana, and I know it feels wrong to some people to live in an apartment or a condo, but I think that's probably the mindset that needs to change the most in order for this development to be sustainable, to be conservation minded.
Yep.
And it needs to be more about like you live in a smaller spot,
right, but
you have more at your disposal.
Yes, you have completely nailed this really challenging thing that I will fully own. I'm right in the middle of. It's cognitive dissonance, really. It's like the difference between what you kind of intellectually understand as a good, well planned out city that can manage growth, and then those really real impacts, what that means for you as a person. People don't move to Montana to live in an apartment building, right? They don't move to Montana to take the bus. Everyone's got their gear and their skis and their bikes. And we all want our 6, 10, 20 acres of heaven. I live on 6 acres. Like, I get it. It is a dream. And if we all did that, what would this place look like? Like, I am very aware that these things are kind of contradictory, right?
Yeah, it just couldn't grow. You can't put more people in.
Right. And like, it's hard to take care of the weeds, I mean, I'm not trying to like be flippant about it, but land ownership is a really big deal.
It's work.
It's work. It's expensive. And, I live on a piece that was chunked off a long, long time ago, but I think it's challenging. I think we're all reckoning with this idea that we love this place and we all have an impact on it. So, the people that call us and say, you have to conserve the property next to me. They're trying to put a subdivision there, and there's all this wildlife that lives here. And what I want to say is, like, 5 years ago, where you live used to be where those wildlife were. This is complicated.
Yeah.
We are all living and playing in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, like the most fragile ecosystem in the country. And we're running on trails and in habitat. And it's not to say that we shouldn't be doing any of those things, but we need to find a way to be aware of the impact we're having and consider all of us together making some sacrifices to mitigate our collective impacts. Like one person on 6 acres, fine, right? Am I destroying the ecosystem? Maybe not. But if we all do it, we're right there.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. It's really tricky. I'm the first to just accept. Yes. Am I part of the problem? Probably. But I'm also part of the solution. And that gives me some peace of mind.
Okay. It cancels each other out a little bit.
It's a wash, right?
So it does seem like one effect of this, one net effect, because people want to freeze it in time. People want the Bozeman of 25 years ago, whatever that means. But ultimately, you see a lot of cheeky, like, make Bozeman, Montana again stickers, or go back to California, or Montana is full. I hear North Dakota is nice, or no skinny jeans, or no man buns. I've got a lot of these. Beware, I own a gun and a backhoe, which is a real sign that I saw that seems very menacing. Mm-hmm. It's basically murderous.
Yes.
But jokes aside, excluding newcomers is a pervasive mindset in Montana. It seems like. Why do you think that things evolved this way?
Oh gosh, it's pervasive everywhere, right? Trust me, like when we go to Miles City for the bucking horse sale and someone says, "Where are you from?" Belgrade's a lot more of a friendly answer than Bozeman. And
Really?
It's wild because I mean, it plays out at the state legislature. Like people are angry at Bozeman and they're angry at newcomers. And I think it's a scapegoat, right? Like we're all looking for somebody to point the finger at, because if you really boil all of this down, I think everyone in this community that's been here longer than maybe 6 months or just loves this place is dealing with grief. Like change is hard, and there's no way around that. If you are seeing something that you love change or disappear, like people are deeply grieving. And so grief can very quickly turn into anger. And it's a lot easier to process grief if you can pin it on someone. So who can I point the finger at? I'm going to point the finger at the person that got here more recently than me, right? Or the person that's different from me. I moved here, 15 years ago? I probably moved here for the exact same reason that somebody that moved here 2 weeks ago did. But there's this sense that somehow I'm more deserving of it than they are. And I can totally understand where that thought comes from. I fall victim to it as well. I just think there's a tendency to want to, point the finger, find answers. I think it helps us with our processing of hard things.
But it's misdirected.
I personally believe that. Now, that's not to say that I haven't run into people who are new to town who I see as totally have total disregard for the history of this place, or the intention that's been put into making this place great. Like when I see someone not pick up their dog poop, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Where did you come from where that was okay, right? Or
from Paris?
Yeah, or like, we work with a lot of agricultural producers, and the history of this place is fascinating. Like Bozeman exists because of ag. Bozeman exists partially because of trains. The history of like how ag started here and what it did to create this town is so cool. And it's really sad to me sometimes to see the way that even drivers, like on the road, I mean, the stories you'll hear from farmers about road rage when they're driving their tractor down the road that they've been driving down since before they probably could legally drive it when they were a kid, to have somebody like honking at them or passing them and putting them in danger or putting other people in danger.
Yeah.
It's hard to see that. So certainly people's actions are frustrating, but their nature of them being new is not what makes them bad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's, to me, like anytime you're going to join a community, you got to spend time understanding what you're walking into, like who is part of the history there, who's been working the land, who deserves some of your respect and reverence and understanding. And so the people that do that, I'm like, welcome, let's go. Join us. I want to see you at every community event. But the people that have dollar signs in their eyes for this valley and come in seeing an opportunity to make a quick buck or to put on a costume of a cowboy, it's kind of, it can make a little bit is making a mockery of someone's lifestyle that people that work really, really hard and have made a name for there can be some condescending attitudes like, oh, this town is so cute and quaint, and instead of being like, this place is great and these people are wonderful and they add so much to my life, and I'm not trying to change them. I want to be part of this. It's a difference there.
Totally. It sounds like you have seen quite a few people, different types come in and either integrate or fail to integrate. Give me an anecdote or two about individuals, don't have to name names, who have either done it really well, successfully, or unsuccessfully.
Yeah.
Because you've given me some decent generic examples there, but I want one or two that are like true to life. Put your finger right on it.
I mean, the road rage stuff that I hear about from farmers is pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to hear. The people that, let me try to think of some other examples of poor integration.
Or good, or, people who are really good at it, who have taken the right steps, and, you would basically recommend that anyone do
I think
this.
I would rather focus on that, to be honest. The people that always surprise me are the people that end up in my office within the first month of like coming to this community. And I'm blown away. I'm like, oh my God, you just moved? Like, are you probably unpacking boxes? And you had this ability to think like, I should figure out how I can volunteer. Like, that blows my mind that their priority of being part of the community is so top of mind that they end up making an effort to show up to our office to ask how they can help within the first month. You'd be shocked at how many people do that. Or make a donation. Just say, I love what you guys are doing. I'm new. I'm so glad to have the trails here. I want to see more of it.
Awesome.
That lifts my spirits every time it happens and gives me just renewed hope in the people that are joining this community, that they're here for the right reasons.
I didn't do any of that stuff, by the
That's
way.
okay.
I started a podcast,
Yeah, and you are featuring people who are doing good things.
There
so
we go.
You know what? And like, that's an extreme version, right?
Yeah.
I think in general, it's like people who are a good neighbor, who instead of deciding they're going to sue their neighbor for, building a second story on their house, they're going to try to walk over and say, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Like, let's have a conversation about, like, choosing the conversation before the lawsuit is an example, or the fences, here's another good example. This is extreme, but slightly different. So I live out west of Bozeman, surrounded by farm fields, and there's a lot of development happening around me. There is a property behind me that was being developed into storage units, which obviously was like devastating because it was farmland and it was open. It was beautiful.
But it's about time Bozeman got some storage units.
God,
okay?
Apparently. And at first I was like, I'm gonna call the county and I'm gonna got all wound up. And then I was like, wait a second. I gotta practice what I preach here. So I reached out to the guy, sent him an email. I think I had to talk to him on the phone. And I was like, hey, I'm a neighbor. I totally respect your private property rights. You can do whatever you want. And I just want to let you know, like, what happens there impacts us. And is there a way we can, like, kind of reconfigure the lighting so it's not, blaring into my back window, which it was.
Yeah.
And he was awesome. He was super amenable. He's like, absolutely. I hadn't thought about that. Like, I'd love to find a way to find some common ground. And he did it. And do I love storage units being behind me? No. Did I really appreciate that he was willing to talk to me and find a solution? Yes. Those are the type of people that I want in my community.
Yeah.
I would venture to guess he and I are politically entirely different. We probably are from totally different places. But I think as Montanans, there's this thing that we can do where we don't throw stones. We actually just walk to our neighbor's door with some banana bread, like my neighbor does, and talk.
Yeah.
Like, we have a lot of differences across the state, but we also have a lot of common ground. Like, quite literally, we have common ground. We care about the land. And if we can find those areas of commonality, I think we can go a lot farther. So,
we're all drawing from the same well.
Totally. Like, I hate when I see, no trespassing signs or private property signs pop up all over the place. And I understand where that's coming from. I'm sure some trail user probably got off the trail and did something they shouldn't.
Yeah.
So we all need to be respectful of each other. Another example is like people that drive to trailheads and they go really fast on dirt roads. The amount of dust they're kicking up for those neighbors is such a bummer. So, like, take some time. Think about how fast you're going and keep your music down, because in those big open spaces, it echoes. Don't hike with a boombox. Pick up your dog's poop. Like, for the love of God, pick up the poop.
Seems to be a recurring theme with you.
It is like, you would not believe the amount of phone calls in my 10 years that I have fielded around dog poop. It's disgusting. And like, I know that people are they're on their phone or they're talking with a friend, they don't notice it. But if you didn't pick up a poop on a hike, I guarantee your dog did it. Just pick up someone else's and throw it away. I don't know. I also want to start this like secret Instagram account that's not going to be secret anymore. That's like dog shaming of Bozeman, where people submit photos of people not picking up their dog poop and then put it on, like, it's like Hipsters of Bozeman.
Sure.
Put it on an account so that people can publicly shame them, because I just don't know how people get away with it. Like, Rule number one.
What is GVLT doing to help sort of like welcome these newcomers? Are you giving them an orientation, some sort of a citizenship test?
I would love to find a way to do that in a really welcoming, inviting way.
Totally.
Right? I would love to be able to sit down with everyone and be like, welcome. Did you know that, like, here's the history of this valley and here's how we do things? And did you know that the blue light on the top of the Baxter sign lights up when there's powder at Bridger Bowl? Like,
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, totally. It's so cool. Like, there's like these fun community lores, and traditions and rituals that I think make a community special and make it feel different. I want to hold on to those so badly. Pete's Hill, like, it's spelled P-E-T-S, not P-E-T-E-S. And that's
There's
a little
apostrophe?
thing. No apostrophe.
No apostrophe.
Because the land was owned by the Peets family. And not like P-E-T-E, the first name.
Yeah. So there's no
It's not a
ownership of it.
It's like a
It's not a possessive.
Yeah, it was a plural last name. I think you could probably say, like, with a possessive, it'd be P-E-E-T-S apostrophe. But
Yeah.
I think you can get away with either, and we've decided to do no apostrophe.
Okay.
I mean, it's like
I
little
like
things.
it. It's simple.
Or like,
it's cleaner.
yeah, like if you know the history of the land, you can like understand why it's named what it's named. Or, like Frog Rock looks like a frog. I wish we could sit down with people, and I think the more people understand about the land and the history, the more they will respect it and revere it, and the more we will be able to protect what we love. An example of that is a new medicine wheel that we've installed on Pete's Hill. So we've worked with the city to create Pete's Hill in 3 different land acquisitions, the most recent being 12 acres at the south end. And a project that we've long wanted to do is a medicine wheel and mountain range viewfinder. So this installation
awesome.
is so cool. You get to stand in the middle and you can see 360-degree views of the mountains. But the seats on the backs of these benches in a circle are the silhouettes of the mountain ranges you're looking at. And it says the name of the peaks, the elevations, and the name of the range. And then inset into the ground is a medicine wheel, which is a symbol that's used by a lot of Northern Plains tribes, just to like orient them with the landscape. They use it for ceremonies. It can be thought of as like the cardinal directions, the 4 seasons, very open to into interpretation, but something that's very sacred for them and a way that they connect with the land. And I feel
the idea you enter one part of the medicine wheel and exit another after doing a full rotation?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then on the outside of the medicine wheel are the names of all the federally recognized tribes in Montana with the general location of their treaty lands in the state. And it's the whole idea of that is to ground people in place, right? To really help them understand where they stand, literally. And so that's, to us, a way to build that connection and build that respect for the land, especially for people that are new or visitors. I think our next gen group is a really good way to engage new folks. Like, we're very intentional about building a diverse group of people that have different networks and different communities to kind of expand the tent. GBLT is a little different from most conservation groups in that I would say our audience is not just conservationists. Like, we serve everyone that lives in the Gallatin Valley and beyond, to be honest. Like, we're working in Park County now, and that's a different community that deserves their own focus, attention, and tailored approach and listening. There's a place for everyone, and I think we're trying to create a place where everyone's welcome.
Gotcha. And if people want to join and help the GVLT in doing that and welcoming newcomers, next gen, any of that, can people just reach out and say,
Totally.
hey, okay.
I mean, our office,
Great.
Our doors always open. I'm happy to meet over coffee with literally anybody. I don't think I've ever turned anyone down. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And my final question is, what advice would you give someone who is considering moving to the Gallatin Valley right now?
I believe really strongly in the whole nonprofit sector. We're one of many great groups doing really great things for this valley. And so if I had to give any advice, it would be join a board. Reach out. The nonprofits in this community rely on the skills, talents, resources of people new and old. And they need people to be on their boards. They need people to volunteer. They need your financial support. So much of what we have in this valley is because of nonprofits. So call a nonprofit, and you need a recommendation on who to call me, because I know a lot of good groups doing good stuff.
Okay, but do it. Move.
Do it.
And
Make
get
some
involved.
action. Yeah.
All right, great. And I am ready to move on to the dumb marmot game of the day.
I'm most excited for this.
Which I call Connecticut etiquette.
Can I win? Or is it like a win-lose?
I guess we all win just by learning from this.
Oh.
It's okay. It's about Montana. It's not about Connecticut at all. I just like the name Connecticut etiquette.
I do like it too.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
But it has nothing to do with Connecticut.
Okay, good, because I don't know anything about Connecticut.
The idea is that it's a multiple choice test, okay? And it's all about etiquette in Montana.
I love this so much.
In this hypothetical, you checked your weather app this morning and saw there was a 30% chance of rain. So you grabbed your umbrella. On the way out to your car, you see your neighbor does not have his umbrella. Do you, A, wave and hold your umbrella in the air before relaying the weather forecast and encouraging him to go grab his umbrella too? Or B, just wave. He probably keeps a jacket in his truck because Montana's weather is notoriously unpredictable.
Oh my God, this is a trick question, right? There's no right answer.
I don't think there are any trick questions.
I'm always unprepared for the weather, so I would never have an umbrella. I don't even think I own an umbrella, and I never have a raincoat.
It's a very unbelievable question.
I would trust that they know about the weather.
Yeah.
I'm from Minnesota. We talk about the weather, but in Montana, I feel like you do you.
Yeah, I think B is the right answer there. Just wave. Montanans don't trust weather forecast percentages. Show us the radar.
Totally.
We're not going to believe
like,
that.
is it going to rain? Really? I don't know.
30%? Meh.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. You're driving to go fly fishing, and you reach a stretch of river that looks promising. There's a small pullout, but a car is already parked there, and its owner is visibly fishing below. Do you, A, block the car in because you don't plan to fish for very long? Do you, B, park behind that car and go down to make a new friend? Do you, C, park behind that car and hike to a fishing spot a healthy distance away? Or D, keep driving, find another pullout that's unoccupied?
I think D. I'm not a fly fisher person, but the ones that I do know really like to be alone. They're like introverted people. I think I'd stay as far away as possible.
I think that's it. I think D or maybe C.
Yeah.
Fly fishing is solitary and space intensive. Give Montanans elbow room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But sometimes every pullout is full.
I was just
and
gonna
so
say
in that
that.
situation, I think it's okay to park behind and you hike.
Potentially, or like, don't be in a rush. I swear, I've never used my horn in this town ever in my life. Don't be in a rush. Where are you going so fast?
Yeah, a deer.
Just give yourself enough time to drive far enough away to find your own spot.
If a deer is just hanging out in the middle of the road,
is a good reason to do it. Or a cow. I've done that.
Yep.
But yeah.
Okay, next. On the highway, you watch as a semi in front of you clips an elk, killing it. Okay, a pickup truck pulls over and the driver begins loading the elk into the bed of the truck.
Yep.
Do you, A, get on the phone and report her immediately? What she's doing must be illegal. B, do you drive on by? Or C, do you pull over and help load that elk in? Maybe she'll cut you off a tenderloin.
It's definitely legal, 100% legal to get roadkill. And like, why let a good animal go to waste? So I'd be fully supportive. I don't think I'd be much help, so I personally would probably drive but my husband might stop and help.
Okay. I think B or C are both acceptable there, depending on your level of adventure.
Yep.
She will need a retroactive tag, but it's definitely legal and delicious.
Yep.
All right. We're almost done.
Fresh.
With Connecticut etiquette, all about Montana. Confusing name.
Yes.
Your new friend feeds you homemade huckleberry ice cream made with huckleberries that he recently picked. It's incredible. Do you, A, ask him where he picked the huckleberries? B, ask him if he has extra huckleberries and if you can have some? C, simply compliment him on his delicious ice cream. He was gracious enough to share it with you.
I feel like C, because it's kind of like hunting. Like, you don't ask someone where they got morel mushrooms. Same thing.
Exactly.
Like, you can't share your spot, secret spot, right? And then I think they're hard to find. Like, I don't pick huckleberries, but they're pretty precious from what I've heard. So if you ask someone to share and then they feel like they had to, it'd be putting them in the spot.
They're already sharing it with you. Don't be greedy.
Right. They made you
Come
ice
on.
cream.
But yeah, never ask a Montanan for their huckleberry spot.
No.
Or mushroom spot.
Mushrooms,
It's gauche.
hunting. Man, I made that mistake because I'm not a hunter. And people look at you like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like, you seriously going to ask me that?
If they want you to know where it is, they'll take you there.
Yes.
That's
and
pretty
like,
much it.
bottom line, the best way to become a Montanan is to learn about it from other Montanans. Take a cue.
There we go.
Find someone and be like, what's the proper way to do this? Just,
On the down low, though.
Totally.
All right, last one. You're overtaking a sailboat, and your sailboat is to windward. Do you A, overtake the leeward sailboat as closely and quickly as possible, or B, overtake the leeward sailboat but keep well out of their way so as to avoid disrupting their wind?
This is a trick question too, because people don't sail in Montana.
This is a Connecticut question.
Maybe on Flathead Lake, maybe. And I should know this because I used to sail, but I don't. It's been too long.
The answer is B. You never disrupt another sailboat's wind unless it's absolutely necessary.
Connecticut etiquette.
Connecticut etiquette. Most of these were about Montana, but I did have to throw in
That's
one
a zinger.
Connecticut question. But you did very well.
Did I pass?
Passed with
Like,
flying colors.
am I
Good
a
job.
Montanan?
Yes.
Are you
and I think this
anointing me?
this should be part of the citizenship test, right?
I honestly think so. Yeah, but then maybe like if you don't get it right,
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's
Like, I'll
fine.
help
You learn
okay.
from it. I'll add some more jokes and pepper,
Totally.
spice
I
it
would
up.
love to help you with more questions like that. I have if you the dog poop thing.
Yes.
Like if you see someone not picking up their dog poop, what do? Do you yell at them? Do you offer them a bag? Do you ignore it?
Do you create an Instagram
Do you pick it up?
account
Do
just
you
to
shame them? Like
on
the answer
social
is
media?
probably not that last one. I would be like, "Hey, do you need a bag?" But I'm a
Right.
little bit more in your face than most people.
Yeah.
A lot of people. My husband just picks up other people's dog poop. He's a hero.
It's like wiping another kid's nose.
I know.
It doesn't belong to you.
I know.
It's tough. It's grosser for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's the same stuff.
I get it. It totally is. Yeah, we could do a whole other podcast on dog poop. Call me when you're ready.
All right, fine. That'll be part 2 of this exciting podcast. Thank you so much, EJ, for your
Absolutely.
time. It was great getting to know you a little bit, and I hope that if people are considering moving to Montana, to the Gallatin Valley, they'll listen to this, and if you've already moved here, or if you are actively shaming people who have, then maybe this is also the podcast for you.
Welcome.